Hi there, everyone, and welcome to Paper Wishes Weekly Webisodes. I'm Sarah Newman, and I'm so excited to share with you some fabulous and versatile triple layer collection dies from our friends at Creative Expressions. So today we're going to focus on 4 main die cutting collections, all in the triple layer style. We have 2 borders. We've got the Florence and we have the Charlene. We'll be creating some fun and easy card focals using the spiral pearl flowers. And we'll also be working with the Penelope, and this is a nested ovals die with a bit of a twist. Now I've got 5 card projects that I'm going to share with you today, but when you get your triple layer dies, if you ever get stuck for a little bit of inspiration, just open up the packaging because Creative Expressions has provided some card project ideas for you as well. Now throughout the cards that I'll share with you today, I'm using papers from the Country Chic Pattern Paper Pack from Paper Wishes, and this is a collection of 12 coordinating designs. They're all in a 12 by 12 inch format, so you can get lots of cards from each sheet. They're double-sided and they've got some beautiful soft collage looks, perfect in combination with these dies. Now I also wanted to add a little bit of metallic shine to my card project, so I'm using some dazzles, and these are the script words. To go along with that metallic shine, I'm going to be working in a little bit of opal polish into my card projects as well. You may remember these from an earlier webisode. Well, we're going to work with them on some pattern paper this time. And the last item I want to be sure to point out is the cosmic acrylic glue. Now, I often get asked about the best way to glue intricate dies together without the adhesive showing, and the answer to that is the cosmic acrylic glue. So I'll be sharing a couple of tips with you on that too. So as you can see, we have got a lot to share with you today. I'm so glad that you're joining us. Come play with us. You might be wondering what we mean by triple layer collection dies. Well, these are dies that have been designed to be die cut and stacked and layered to create 3 layers of dimension on your motif. And you can see here, we'll start with our 2 borders and we'll begin with the Florence. On the front package, you'll notice that we've got the 3 layers all put together so that you've got some beautiful shades of tone on tone blue. That's going to give you some really fun dimension on your card or scrapbook page. And of course, you can see on the inside here too some project ideas that are going to give you a little bit more inspiration on how that can be put together. So let's take a look at these dies. And I've got the 3 layers together here. So you can see you've got your outline, you've got your middle portion, and you've got your detail. What you'll do is die cut first your silhouette portion here, and that's going to give you a shape that looks like this. Then the second portion, you're going to take the middle layer and then you're going to nest it inside that silhouette. Secure the 2 together. I like to use a bit of washi tape or masking tape. Run it through your die cutting machine and you will have a piece then that looks like this. So this is your base layer and your middle layer. Then you're going to take the 3rd detail layer. Again, nest that inside the silhouette, run it through your die cutting machine, and you will have a piece that looks like this. Now I'm going to bring this in on a piece of black cardstock so that you can see that a little bit better. Then you can start to do your layering. So you'll simply take your detail layer, glue it on top of your middle layer, and then take the 2 of those and put them on top of the base piece. And then you've got 3 layers of beautiful texture and dimension. So I've done these all in contrasting cardstock pieces, but of course you could do them with a tone-on-tone look as well. You can also start to play with the different creative possibilities here too, because you can quite easily take 2 layers together like so to create a really fun border. You could also do the 2 layers like so if you wanted to. So there are a lot of really fun things that you can do with this. In fact, you can also play with the positioning of turning these elements around. Maybe you want to have a border that looks like this instead. So some really fun ways that you can use the triple layer, and all of the dies that we're looking at today are going to work in about the same effect. And in fact, one other way I wanted to share with you too, you can use just that detail layer to go like so on your background. You could have them put up together like this. You could have them separated. You could turn this around and have it be a nested effect like so. You could even do a third one over here. So lots and lots of different things you can do with just one of those collections. Well, let's take a look at the Charlene, because this is going to work in a very similar way, but I've got a couple of other ideas for you. So here's the Charlene. Again, you've got your detail, you have your middle layer, and you have your base piece here. So now you know the basics of this. You'll know that you will create your base layer, you will create your middle layer, and you will create your detail layer on here as well. Now I'm going to move aside these so that we can look at the layering process. Again, just one on top of the other, like so. Or, of course, two of them together if you wanted to do that. Now, one thing I wanted to point out about the detail and the middle layer, and this works for the Florence as well, the reason you need to nest this inside of the silhouette piece is because simply running this through your die cutting machine won't give you the outline, but it will give you another creative possibility. So if I take this middle layer and I just run it through my die cutting machine as it is, I will end up with a piece that looks like this. So not really that special until you start layering. So maybe if I take this element and put the two together, then I can use this as a border on my card. So if I were going to die cut just this piece here, let's take a look at what that would look like. Something that looks like that, which could then also be accented. It just gives you a different effect. This also means that you can die cut from the edge of your card front. So this is, again, using the detail piece. Slide these aside and I'll just tuck this in and you can see the contrast on here. Again, you can do some layering with this as well. So you can really create some very fun and different looks just depending on how you're combining the 3 dies in each one of those collections. So these are the 2 borders. Let's take a look at the other 2 collections. The Spiral Pearl Flower Collection has 12 dies and so many different ways that you can combine them to create lots of different looks with your flowers. So you've got 2 flower shapes in here that you can create. One is about 2 inches in diameter and the smaller one is about 1.5 inches. You've also got a large leaf and a small leaf, and of course, plenty of project ideas on the inside. I wanted to show you just a couple of things to keep in mind as you're playing with your spiral pearl flowers. I've die cut all of these elements out because I wanted to show you how nice they look is just as they are. So you can do your triple layer, but you can also use these flowers just as they are, or as we've seen before, with a double layering instead of a triple layering. Also keep in mind, because you have 2 different sizes, that you can mix and match those sizes as well. So you can stack and layer them like so. You can also do some offset placement so that you can create almost a different shape of flower in there too. Now you've got 2 leaves. I've just die cut the large one. They both work the same way. You have the silhouette, the middle section, and the detail. So again, you can create lots of different looks from this beautiful and very versatile set. Now, speaking of versatile, I want to share with you the last of our die cuts in today's webisode, and this is the Penelope collection. Now, I spent a good part of a rainy Sunday afternoon with Penelope, and we had a lot of fun. Although it's got 8 dies in here, it seems like you've got countless different combinations. Now, you've got project ideas in here, and a few that show some of the other dies that we're working with in today's webisode. But really the fun starts when you get out your scrap papers and cardstock and you just start playing with this. And that's what I did on my rainy Sunday. So let's take a look at just a couple of the options that you can come up with. So I'm going to get out a few of these dies here. And you can see these are kind of the foundational pieces. So scalloped ovals. Now the large is about 5 inches wide by 4 1/8 of an inch tall, and the smaller one is 4 3/4 wide by 4 inches tall. Now when you die cut these pieces, you'll come out with these 2. And the nice thing about this, if you're working with kind of a standard size of card blank, like a 5 by 6.5 inch, this works perfectly as your card focal. Now this is the larger of the two, so you can see that you can angle this both ways, and it just fits in there beautifully, and you have an instant accent on your card. So that's a great thing to keep in mind. It's perfectly sized. Now the other element that you have in your set is the starburst, and this is the other silhouette. So with these two shapes, you've also got some nesting elements in there as well. So I'm going to move aside our large mat here, but I'm going to keep in the cardstock piece because as you can see, you could even do some layering like so. Now, the other thing that you might want to be thinking about are the detail elements. So you've got your silhouette, you've got your middle piece, and you've also got your detail piece in here. So the same process as with our other dies, all you need to do is just stack these two together, secure them down with a little bit of tape, and run them through your die cutting machine. And if you put these two together, you will create a piece that looks like this, which you can then add to the larger scalloped oval. You could also put it onto the smaller one because it is a perfect fit. Now you might be thinking, oh, okay, well, here's what can we do with some of the other elements in the set. Of course, you're noticing that the starburst fits perfectly inside here. So what you can then do is say, let's take maybe this middle section, pop that down, run it through your die cutting machine, and you will create this look. You can see how pretty that is. Okay, so you might be thinking, well, what else can I do with these three? They look quite interesting. They are. Let me move these aside just a little bit, and we'll take a look at what else you can do with these. So you've got your silhouette, you've got your middle piece, and you have your detail piece. So that's going to give you these three looks here. And let's see, I've got a white one here that I'm just going to put on top so that you can see how these three will layer up just beautifully. So again, you could do any two of them, but you can also do the three of them. You can also simply take these, pop them into the center, and you've got a really pretty motif. You could also take these three and maybe put them on this one. So you can start to see where the fun comes in and the playtime comes in and where your Sunday afternoon will go. And I can promise you, you will have a great time. So now let's take a look at, instead of using the middle section, let's look at the detail section here. What will that look like if we run that through our machine? Well, that is going to give you a piece like this. Quite modern, I think, quite stylish. I really like that. Okay, so what if you take the center and you nest all three of these together, run that through your die cutting machine, you will come up with this. I also really like this too. Great for card making. You can put a dazzle, you can put a stamp sentiment in there. You could also use these for scrapbook pages too. Okay, and then maybe I want to take this piece out and put in the middle section. We'll pop that in there, and you will come up with this piece. Beautiful. Now, what if you take these elements and maybe start breaking them apart and layering them like so? So you can see again, this is where the fun really starts to happen. Okay, one more that I'm going to show you. If you take this piece out and you put the detail die in the center, and then you will come up with this piece, which you could pop right onto one of your other pieces here as well. And then maybe you want to accent that with this white element. Well, of course, you can do that too. And if you're like me, you will find that you end up with a whole bunch of these pieces that you can kind of pick and mix and match and layer together. It's a lot of fun. Now, one question that I have quite often when working with intricate dies, especially ones that are quite lacy looking and a little bit more detailed, how to glue them together in a way that does not result in a big mess. Well, the answer to that is with the Cosmic Acrylic Glue. Now, I asked this question too of Lene and Debbie, and this is the glue that they recommended. And I gave it a try, and I really, really like it. So the nice thing about it, not only is it just a good basic white glue, but it also has this great little tip. It's a very detailed tip so that you can simply apply this right onto your cardstock. And you don't need to use a lot of it. A little bit will do. And I just like to add a bit around the edges. The nice thing about this too is that it dries clear, which means that if you do get any little accidents, that you don't have to worry about that showing up as white glue. So then what you can do is take your base piece. Looks like I did get a little bit through here. And add a little bit more here in some of those broader areas. And pop this down. And so you can see just how nicely that all comes together quickly and easily. So that's my trick with gluing these detail dies. I really do like the Cosmic Acrylic Glue. It makes life a lot easier. So now that you've seen how you can put the triple layer dies together, let's take a look at some card projects. Our first card project features the Penelope collection as the card focal, and you'll notice that I've added up some of these layers onto foam tape, and that's just to allow for this ribbon, which I've threaded through the open area of the scallop design and across here around to the other edge. And that's just going to allow me to create a little bit more texture and dimension with that ribbon. I've also added the centerpiece here with some foam tape as well. And you'll notice that I've got a Dazzles greeting on here. And I want to share a little trick with you about this. The Dazzles that I'm using are the script greeting Dazzles. And the I love you sentiment is all one line of text. So of course it wouldn't fit into that focal piece as it is, which means that I just snipped the words apart so that I could fit them in. So don't forget, when you're looking at your Dazzles and some of your other accent pieces, you can cut apart some of those words to make them fit into various areas of your card if you need to. Now, if you're also noticing the background on here, this beautiful shine and shimmer of my background paper, well, that has been done using opal polish. And if you checked out the March 17th webisode on opal polish, you know a lot about this product. It's a lot of fun, but I'll give you a really quick tip on how I created that background. Now, the opal polish is a beautiful color medium with the bits of mica flake in there, but it doesn't have a high glitter effect. It has a really soft, shimmery shine. It's also got a nice little applicator here. Now, if you have not used your opal polish for a while, you may need to spritz in just a little bit of water into your opal polish and maybe onto your sponge just to reactivate that. But what you can do is simply tap your sponge into the medium and apply it onto your cardstock. And I'm just using a smooth white cardstock here. And simply pop the lid back on, let this dry. It won't take very long at all. And then you can use this as your background. You can also use it for die cutting, but just look at that beautiful soft shimmer and shine on there. And of course, opal polish comes in lots of different colors. I was using the Golden Glow for this one. So again, here is the card itself. I've also added some of the Country Chic pattern papers on here, but it comes together so quickly and easily. Now the second card is also using the Penelope, but we're also combining this with another one of the dies. So this is the Charlene border that you may recognize down here at the bottom. Again, some of the Dazzles here. I've got the birthday wishes down here at the bottom. Also a couple of the little hearts that are in that same packet, and even a heart going across here. Now with the die that I've done here, I've cut this all from pattern paper, and I think it just looks beautiful. So all of the pattern papers, again, from the Country Chic collection, several of them have a very small pattern, so it just creates really nice soft texture on here and allows you to make the most of those really subtle patterns. Again, I've got my starburst here in the middle. I've got a little bit of that golden glow cardstock back here. I've also got golden glow going around the edges of my pattern paper. And this is another really easy technique to do. I'm going to bring in a piece of plain white cardstock and again, my golden glow. And all I'm going to do here is take that sponge applicator, and it's very similar to inking with an ink pad, to adding some ink to the edges of your cardstock, and this will give you a really beautiful sort of painterly effect. Let me hold this up against another white piece so that you can really see that. So I'm showing it to you on white, but of course you can also use it on your pattern papers too, and it just makes a really pretty effect and a nice border around here. So this is our second card project. The third one that I want to show you is also using Penelope. You'll recognize this little motif here, but we're also combining it with the Charlene border. Now, in this case, I've done two of the Charlene borders, one top and bottom, so I have kind of a mirror effect. And then I've added this right up in the center. If you're wondering about that really pretty peach color, this is another one of the opal polishes, and this is in the blushed peach. So again, I just made my background with that blushed peach and let it dry, and then did my die cutting from there. I've also used it on the silhouette pieces of my border. Now, another trick that I want to pass on to you about this particular card, you'll notice this ribbon on here, and the ribbon is one that I absolutely love from the Brown Ribbon Collection. Well, when I went to add this onto my border, I wanted to use every little bit of that ribbon. I didn't want it to be wrapped around the front panel of the card. So I trimmed the edges evenly. Now, you card makers will know that usually when you trim the edges of a ribbon even with a card, it can start to fray. But I've used my Cosmic acrylic glue to the rescue, and I just added a little bit of that glue on each one of the edges here. Because it dries clear, I didn't have to worry about it making a bigger mess. Let that dry and no fraying whatsoever. So I'm really pleased with that. So that's another good use for that acrylic glue. Now for this card, what I've done is added a couple of dazzles in here as well. On the inside, I've got celebrate, 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 and then that way when you close the card, you can see one of those dazzles on here. So then another card project that I want to share with you is again featuring some borders. This is the Florence border. And as you can see, I've got some golden glow cardstock back here combined with some of that pattern paper from the Country Chic collection. And I also have a bit of an offset border going on here too, as well as some of those detail pieces spread out top and bottom. So this is a great way to make the most of that border by using it in a couple of different areas to create a larger border. And again, the Country Chic pattern paper, I've got the dazzles on here and a little bit of ribbon and a couple of those little hearts that are also in the dazzles set. So great way to mix and match those supplies. They come together so easily. Our last card project is, of course, using our spiral pearl flowers and also the Florence border on here. And again, this is just the detail look. Now, if you're noticing on the background paper, of course, I've also done some of the edging, and I've done quite a heavy bit of edging around all four sides of my card front. I also took that sponge and skimmed it across the pattern paper that is right on the card front to give a sort of weathered effect. Now I've got all of the flowers layered up here using paper that I made with the Golden Glow opal polish. So all of that really does coordinate quite nicely, and it ties in nicely also with the dazzle that I have going across the front panel of the card. So as you can see, there are just so many great ways to use these versatile dies from Creative Expressions, plus the pattern papers and the dazzles, and just so much fun to put all of these together. I really do appreciate you joining me today, and I can hardly wait to see what you come up with your new supplies. Thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you so much for being a part of the Paper Wishes family. We're really glad that you're here with us. Please be sure and leave a comment because I'd love to hear what you think about today's webisode. Each item can be purchased separately, and you can see them below. However, we've also bundled them into a creative money saver just for you. For the money saver, just see this webisode on paperwishes.com.